You know, I always say that I'm the luckiest chief of police in the nation. You know, when you look at, I work for some of the best police officers I've ever dealt with, and that's my job. I work for them. You know, it's my job to make sure they have the training, the equipment they need. You know, and so I work for them. They don't work for me. And then I have a community that has really embraced me, which really took me back. I didn't expect this. And then for the third reason I'm the luckiest chief is I have a mayor who's very supportive of me. You know, I think there's a perception out there that I can be pretty laid back. I think the people who work for me and work with me would tell you I'm not laid back. I can be pretty intense. I'm very focused and driven to get the job done. I'm very defensive of our officers. And when you're accused of racism, when you're just out there doing your job, you know, I got a little bit tense. You know, bike stops were 0.8% of what we do. When you look at the 392,000 documented incidents of how many people we come in contact with so far this year, you know, we probably really in reality come in contact with 1 million people so far this year, and less than 1% of what we do are bike stops. And then when you look at overall how we police our city with a variety of problems in a variety of different neighborhoods, you just can't look at one silo on one stat and say you're targeting minorities when there's a whole bunch of disparities on a bunch of other things that we do. You know, you use the DUI arrest. 73% or 75% of our DUI arrests are white people. In South Tampa, 80% of our DUI arrests are white people. Does that mean we're targeting white people? And you have to look at certain things like that. You're much more likely to get a ticket on Bayshore for speeding than you are in East Tampa. I think moving forward, looking at body-worn cameras. You know, I think that's the future. It's very controversial. I think in order for people to truly trust the police department, body-worn cameras are a thing of the future, and it's a very difficult task, very expensive. The expense is astronomical. How do you implement it? But, you know, we can't assume that we're not going to have an incident here in Tampa. We can't, you know, we have a very good relationship with the community. We are one incident away from that trust being broken. And that's just the reality of it. Nobody wants to say that. Nobody likes to talk about that, but that's really the reality of it. It could happen tonight. And we can't assume, oh, that's not going to happen here. One of the things I was very proud of was when I took over back in February, I met with a group of retired African-American police officers. I heard their stories of what it was like the police 40 years ago, 45 years ago. And the things that they went through and the struggles that they had and with their fellow officers. And then I brought in my staff members and we discussed the stories that they told us and the challenges that those African-American officers felt with their coworkers that they had to see every day. And if they were mistreated by coworkers, how are their coworkers treating members of the African-American community that they did not have to see again? If that makes sense. You know, if you're mistreating someone you're interacting with every single day, how are you treating the person out there in the community you're likely not to see again? You know, when I was the interim chief and we were dealing with almost 2 months of a serial killer, I was on nationwide news everywhere. And I think people got to know me and now they recognize me. You know, when you're the good-looking bald guy like me, people recognize you and you stand out. And it's amazing to me the number of people who to this day come up and thank me for what I did during the Seminole Heights thing. The issue was, even though it really wasn't me, I think because I'm the face of the department, they recognized me and they feel like they got to know me. It was on TV and in the media constantly. And that's what I really love is, you know, I like to think I'm making a difference now. I think the officers feel my support, the people out on the street, the cops on the street working feel my support, know that I'm behind them. And I think the community has embraced me and they're very receptive to me.